Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to be building this responsive side navigation bar with submenus. This is also mobile friendly, so as you can see when we shrink the screen, it gives us a hamburger menu icon, and when we open it up, our menu is also there. To do this, we are going to be using Next.js 13 as well as Tailwind CSS, so let's get to it. So we got our IDE open on the left and our local host open on the right. I have a blank version of this project that I'm going to be working with, but you can see the full project in the description below if you want to move ahead faster. Now we're going to be walking through step by step on how to create what you saw in the demo. So the first thing we need to do is get some prerequisites out of the way. We are going to be installing a couple packages, and they are right here, the CLSX, Framer Motion, Tailwind Merge, and Iconify React. Gonna go ahead and install all of these packages. So I already had them installed. We're gonna move forward and we're going to be adding a couple items inside of our files. And the first one we're going to start with is our constants file. Inside our constants file, we are going to be putting what navigation items we are going to have. So I'm going to be copying, pasting those items into here, and we're going to be walking through it. You can see we are importing icon for those little SVGs that you saw earlier. We have types of side nav item, which we're going to go ahead and add right now. So we're going to go to types. We're going to add the side navigation item type. So we're going to go ahead at that. Inside our type, we have a title, a path, an icon, submenu, and submenu item. So if we go back here, you can see what those types are. We have an array of dictionaries of these side nav items. So the first one we have to home. The path is just the backslash, and the icon that we want is the home icon. For our items that have submenus, you can see our title, our path, the icon that we want it to be assigned, and to say that submenu is true. And we are going to be using that variable later on to see which items have submenus and which ones don't, because we need some differentiator. Then after that, you can see right below, these are the submenu items. We have the title and the path associated with them. I didn't add an icon because I thought it'd be too cluttered, but you could go do that if you want. For now, this is what that looks like. And these are the other items and paths that we have. Now, for each path that we have here, we're going to have to create a path for them, which we are going to be in a second. So we got our constants, and we're going to be using this later on. We're going to move forward with adding a file into our lib folder, and that's going to be our utils file. And inside our utils file, we are going to have this code right here. This is just handling class name management. This is for our styling. So this is what it looks like. This is pretty standard. If you look at other repos, this is what they have, as well as we're going to be adding a file into our hooks folder. And that file is going to be called useScroll. And inside our useScroll file, we are going to be adding this code right here. Now, what this code is doing, it's a function. It has an input of a number. That number is used as a threshold, and it's returning a Boolean value of scrolled. We're checking to see how far down the user has scrolled on a page, and if it has, then we're saying that it's true, and then we can use that variable for styling purposes, which you'll see in a second. Now the prerequisites out of the way, we could continue with adding our pages. Now our pages represents our routes that we have. So if we open up our constants to help us out so we could see what paths we need to create. So I'm going to show you how we create one path. For instance, we already have the home path right here, which is our page. Now, if we want to create our projects path, all we need to do is go to app and create a folder called projects. And within projects, you have to create a page just like that. And this is our project's route. So this is the page that our route is going to be going to. So if we create some placeholder one right now, this is what project page looks like. So if we start up our project, doing an npm run dev, and you could see if we navigate to the project's path, it looks like this. So this is showing up. So this is our route. Now, if we want to do a route for our submenu items, for this one, since it's inside projects, I want it to be a part of the projects path, but it's up to you of wherever you want to direct it. But for this instance, we're going to keep it like this. Now you can see that the submenu item for all is going to the projects path. So we don't need to create another route for that because we just created it right now. Now, if we want to create a route for web design, we have to go inside project, create another folder within it, name it web design. And then within that, create another page just like that. And then we're going to put our placeholder, web design page, And now if we go to project/web design, it takes us to this page. Now we are going to do that for all of them. So I'm going to quickly do it. So I'm done creating all the routes. So all of our routes should be here now, as you can see here. And I'm going to go ahead and close them up so we can move on to adding our header. To create our header, we are going to create a folder called components. And within components, we are going to create header. And there are two headers that we are going to create. We are going to create one that is going to be for our normal desktop version, and we need another one for our mobile version. So we're going to do header mobile, and we are going to set those up. So once we get those two files created, then we are going to go inside our layout and import them inside here. So we're going to import header as well as header mobile, and you will see why. And we are going to put them right above children. So we are going to do header mobile. Now, once we've imported them into the layout, then we could go back and start working on just plain header. So I'm going to close this up. So there are a couple things that we are going to need to import and add to the top. So let me add those right here. So as you can see, we are using client-side rendering here. We are importing React link, use segment, layout segment. We are also importing use scroll, the one that we created earlier, and CN. Once we've added those, then we could go ahead and also add a couple variables within our components. So you could see that we are initializing scrolled, and we're using our hook, and we're setting the threshold to 5. And then we're also initializing selected layout to use selected layout segment. Then we are going to go ahead and add what we are going to be returning. So I'm going to go ahead and paste the code there and walk you through. So in our auto div, you can see we're using CN, and then we are combining all of these classes. You can see that our header is sticky, meaning that if we scroll down, it's going to stick to the top, that we're setting it to full width, that we're making sure that the Z index, that means it's on top of all the other pages, that it's on top. You have a border on the bottom. You can see here when scroll is true, then this is going to be the setting. And then also when selected layout is true, this is going to be the setting. Right now, our header is the height of 47 px, and you'll see why in just a second. You see that we have two inner divs right here, and what they represent is our logo. And right now I have a placeholder for our profile. Now, right now, our logo is not showing, but as soon as we start shrinking it, then you can see our logo shows, and then our profile gets hidden right here, and this is the logic for that. Now, this is what our header is going to look like when we're on desktop mode, and right now, the logo is not showing up because we are going to put it in the side navigation bar, which we'll see in a second. But now that we got our header component done, then we could go ahead and move to the header mobile. So we'll take a look at that. And this is a little bit more complex. You can see how when we shrink it, this goes away. But before in the demo, you can see that the menu icon shows up. So this is where that's happening. Now there are a couple imports that we need to import from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and add that here. Now we are importing the link. We are using use path name, which I used in the previous video. Our side navigation items that we created earlier, our side nav item type, our icon, and framer motion for what you're going to see next. Now there's one more type that we need to add into types, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Now if we go here, we are going to enter it right now, and this type is going to be for the menu item with submenu props, which you are going to see in a second. Our item is a side nav item, which is this, and we have a toggle open function, which you're going to see in a second. So if we go back to header mobile, then we are going to also import that type, which is right here. Now we got our imports out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is start adding our variables. So here, a view of our initialized variables. We have path name, container reference, height is open, toggle open. These are a couple of our variables that we're going to be using. You can see it's giving us an error right now for use dimensions because it doesn't exist. So we're going to be adding that function right now. And this is what the function looks like. What it's doing is returning the current dimension of the screen. Now, once we've got that in, then we could go ahead and start looking at our component and what we're going to be returning. So if we go ahead and we're going to start with the outermost div, which is this one. So our motion import is being used right here. And the tag that we're using it with is the nav tag. Initially, it's going to be closed, and depending whether on the user presses the toggle or not, then it's going to open up, and the toggle is going to be inside here as well, which we are going to add. Then within this motion.nav, we're going to have a div that's absolute, and that's going to be the screen that's going to be all white when we open up our mobile view of our side nav. So you can see sidebar is missing, so we are going to need to add that. So if we go up top here, we're going to paste it in. This is what sidebar is. It sets the variance for what it looks like when it's open and when it's closed. So that's how it's being initialized here. And then right underneath that div, we are going to be importing a list, which looks like this. We are missing another variable called variance, which we are going to also add at the top right here. So this is what it looks like. And this is for more of the animation effects. Now within this list, this is where we are going to be using our side nav items. We're going to go ahead and do side nav items. We're going to map it since it's an array. And then what we are going to do is we're going to return something if it exists. And then right here, we're just going to do item index. Now for styling purposes, we want to see also when the last item is. So to do that, this is what we need to do. We get the length of the side items -1, and then we look at that index, and then we will apply different styling, which you'll see. Now within this return statement, I'm going to be pasting in what we are going to be returning. It's going to give us some errors because we haven't added it in yet. So we are wrapping it around a div. We are checking if the item has a submenu. If it does, then we're going to show it a different view. And if it isn't, we're just going to give it a normal menu item view. And then for that last item, we're just going to give it a different styling if the case is satisfied. So now we're going to go ahead and add menu item with submenu and menu item right below in here. So we're going to import menu item. And then all that is, it's just a list, and then it has children that we're passing it to. And the children right here, as you saw, is a link. And then now we have to add the variants for this. So then that is this right here. Here are the variants. This is the motion that it's going to do when it opens and closes. And then right below menu item, I'm going to be adding menu item with submenu, and it's a little bit more complex. And I'll explain it to you in 1 second, but let's finish adding everything back in. So if we go back to our list, so right underneath here, we are going to be adding our menu toggle button. So this is our hamburger menu icon. So it doesn't exist right now. We haven't added it in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's put that right above menu item. So let's put that right here. This is our menu toggle. You can see it's just an SVG that is wrapped around a button. And then it's asking for path. So that's another component that we have right here. And that's what that looks like. So now when we close this up, then you'll see our hamburger icon is showing up. Now, if we try opening it like this, you could see our submenu items are here. And if I open it up, it goes away. And what is going to show here instead is our sidebar nav. Now, this is only for responsive purposes if you want to use this on your mobile phone. So as you can see, let's go back to where we added our sub item with submenu. So here, any of the items that have submenu items, we want to check the path name. Now, in order to get the root menu item to also be highlighted with the submenu item, we have to check if the item.path, which is this one right here, our root, is included in our path name. So the way that we set up our constants projects was inside all of these paths. So that's one way to highlight or change the styling of the root menu item. Now each menu item with the submenu has a function called submenu open, so it's independent of each. So if I open this one opens. If I open this one, then this one opens separately. So that's how we can control that. Now this is the section where we're showing our items right here, and then here we're checking if the sub item path name is equal to the path name. Now we don't want to do the same thing that we did here with includes, because we know that this path name includes our item path. We are looking for this specific path name, which is different. If we set this equal to item path, then all of them are going to be highlighted, or all of them are going to be active if one of them is active, which you'll see right here, which we do not want, right? So that's why we're going to keep it at sub item, and that's how you're able to get each one individually to change styling. That is header mobile. Now I'm going to be moving to building our side navigation bar. Now to get our side nav, we're going to go back inside here, add inside components, our side nav component. We're going to initialize something here. And then once we got that, we are going to go back inside layout and import our side nav. Once we have imported our side nav, there's a couple changes we're going to make. One of them is with this. We're going to add a background of white to our body. We are then going to wrap everything around a div. And then once we've got it wrapped around, we are going to add a class name of flex. Then we are going to wrap this around a main. Put these items inside here, and then we are going to make this a flex 1, and then right above main is where our side nav is going to go, just like that. And now you see our side nav is showing up. You see that there's a little bit of a width. Now we could go back inside side nav and start adding items to it. So I'll close these other things. So we are going to first add our imports, which looks very similar to our header item that we just worked on. And then we are going to add to our return what we are going to return, which is this. And now there's one item that's missing, which is menu item, which is a little bit different than our previous menu item. So I'm going to add that right below, and then we'll go through it. So our side nav item is coming along, and let's step through it step by step. So in our outer div, we are setting our width as well as our background. We want to make sure that our side nav is going all the way down and filling the screen, that it's fixed. So whenever we scroll down in our page area, that scrolls and not our side nav. And we have a border of a right. So that's how that's happening there. Then we have our link and our logo, but currently it's not showing up, and that's because our header right now had a Z of 30 before. Now we want to make sure that whatever is in this area, we are going to give it a margin left because we want this to be next to our side nav and not overlap it in any way. In order to do that, we are going to create a couple wrappers. We're going to go back here. We are going to go inside our components. I named one of the wrappers page wrapper. So here's one of the wrappers. This is what it looks like. And this is going around our page. So that's one of them. We're going to go back to layout, go back to import, page wrapper, and then we're going to wrap it around our children. This is page wrapper. So that's our first wrapper. And then for our second wrapper is where our margin width comes in. So I named it margin width wrapper. And then inside here is very similar to page wrapper, except we are making it a margin left of 60, which is the same width of our sidebar, and then other styling aspects of it. So then we're going to go back to our layout and then add our margin width wrapper right here. And then this is going to go around these items right here, anything that is inside our main. So we're going to put all these inside here, just like that. Now you can see our logo is showing up. Our header is no longer on top of our side nav, and then everything looks better. Now we can go back to the side nav component to take a deeper look at it. So let's go and do that. So we are using side nav items again here, and we are passing it menu item. Inside menu item, we are checking the path name, and each one, like before for the mobile view, for the menu in mobile view, we have a submenu open, and we are passing it a toggle submenu function to set the submenu if it's open. This is the main portion like before. We're checking if the item has a submenu, and if it does, this is the functionality that it's going to have. This is going to act as a button. So this one is one that has submenu items. If we click on it, it's going to open up a dropdown. That dropdown is showing up right here. And we are checking if the sub item path is equal to the path name. And if it is, then the font is going to be bold like it's shown here. So if we click on this is bold, and this is bold. And if we click on any other link, then the background is going to be whatever we set it to be. So for this one, since it's a normal item that doesn't have a submenus, then this is what it's going to look like. And then we are checking if the path name is equal to the item.path. And if it is, we are giving it a background of this color. So that's how that's being set up. And yeah, that's mostly it. That's how you add the side navigation. Now, if you want to go ahead and change the pages, you're more than welcome to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all the pages. So I went ahead and updated all the styling for the pages, so they all use the same format. You could update it to however you like, but as you can see, I have at the top a font bold, a text that's bigger, and then I'm setting these little boxes as placeholders, and this is how that's being done. And then also I want to show you how the scrolling works. So if we go to home and we scroll down, you can see that we have our header, and it sort of gives it a little bit of a transparent background and a blur. This is how we go down. Our side nav is fixed. And then also if we shrink our screen like this, we go into mobile mode and then everything lays out nicely. If we click on our menu icon, then this shows up and then we can navigate to whatever page that we want. And then that's how it's being done. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Everything will be available in the description. And don't forget to subscribe and join our Discord. Thank you, and until next time.